We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Quantum Spirituality right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest is Dr. Nancy Wiley, and we're going to be talking about ending your suffering. Why do we suffer? Is it something that we think we need to do in order to grow? Yes, we need to struggle, but why do we need to suffer? She says suffering is seemingly a universal thing. Every day we are bombarded with reasons to be fearful, and an ongoing global pandemic, the environmental changes, wars, civil unrest, mass shootings, poverty, homelessness, rising in gas prices. We have an important choice to make. Will we let the fear consume us, or can we find peace by surrendering to that divine trust? Scientist, spiritual researcher, and author Dr. Nancy Wiley provides us guides of dissolving stress and despair in that divine trust, a practical guide to ending your suffering and finding your way home. We're going to be talking about so much here today. This is a topic that is so desperately needed right now. And we are looking at a world that doesn't know what to do with itself, does it, Nancy? It's saturated. It's at the end of its tether. They just know they can't take anymore. And this is why we do see those mass shootings, because it's just like, I don't know what to do, but take everybody out with me. And it's we've had those warning signs for so long, we haven't paid attention. But ultimately, as a community, we need to come together in our healing. But it still is our own responsibility, isn't it, to make that choice to choose to heal.
Absolutely. It all starts with a choice. And the suffering seems to be like, if you're not going to change, I'm going to turn it up even more.
Yes.
This turning aspect
Yes.
to it. And it's asking us, do you really want to keep going? It's like tapping you on the shoulder. I'm taking this as my main teacher. I have so many, but my main teacher, Jetta Molly, would say, it's just saying, do you really want to keep going with that? I just thought you might like to see this.
Yes.
And
before
then
the cosmic 2x4.
Right. Right. So we have the choice. Are we going to heal? And I believe pretty much I sense like all humans have this calling in their heart. Now, some will heed it like you and me, and they'll become full-blown seekers, and then they'll get to a point where they eventually realize like, oh, now I carry this sacred knowledge. I'm certain of it. I know it. And now it's my turn to teach others. My light's been turned on. Now it's my time to turn on the light for other people. But the suffering it doesn't have to be.
No.
It doesn't. And there's just so many ways, so many tools that we have to help with it. But most people don't even know where to start. They've never even heard it's an option. And that's why your work's so important, my work's so important. And what we're here trying to do is to wake us up. We have choices, but we don't even understand. We don't even understand what our human body is. We just see it as a solid, dense mass
Yes.
that lives on this planet and then dies, and that's what we think all there is. But you and I know energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form.
Yes. 100 million, trillion, quadrillion %. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. And this human experience is to enlighten our own senses at the same time. In fact, the entire week, all of the shows have been somewhere in sync with this message. And you know that the source, God, universe, spirit, energy, whatever you wish to call it, is here to serve us. Right? It's here to serve us and show us the way forward, show us that we have the skills, we have the tools, we have the strength, we have the tenacity, we have the resilience. If only we could open up and download that wisdom, and we'll learn how to use it and apply it, we'll realize how much stronger and how many more abilities and really what our meaningful purpose is.
Right. Right. I get a sense. So just to give you a little background for me, so you know where I'm coming from. I was not always this intuitive, not at all. I was a scientist and I was hell bent. I have 6 advanced degrees, 6. I was in school until I was 32. And then I got even more degrees after that. So it's the scientist makes us come from that left brain.
Yes.
And it's always analyzing, it's looking for what's lacking, missing, or wrong, or scientifically it won't be proven unless you can reproduce it. So
Yes.
anything in the spiritual realm is off limits because you can't tangibly, go out and get it and bring it here and look at it in a solid form. It's seen on the inner eyes. So I was really trained to be a left brain scientist, right? But my mom thought I was studying way too much when I was in high school. At 16, she took me to learn transcendental meditation. And then she started giving me books. Friends gave her books. I guess I don't know how they knew to give those books to me, but one was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. I got that probably the same time, 16 or 17 years old. And then the main book that really was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, which, if have you ever read that?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. Okay. So it's a must read on every human being, but it's talks about raising people from the dead, not just what you see in the Bible.
Not the Walking Dead. Yes.
Yeah. No, not the Walking Dead, but the miracles and levitating and being meditating here and projecting yourself somewhere else where, that happened over and over again. Manifesting jewels out of thin air. I mean, they could manifest food and it was dropped. Just, unbelievable. And I got that when I was about 20. So I read that the first time through and I said, you know what? If we can become enlightened in this incarnation, I'm vowing that will be me. Then I went off on my, getting all my degrees and kind of being pulled out of it and not having any spiritual, none at all.
Or not on the surface.
Oh,
the core was waiting there to come.
I don't even know. I would doing my meditation be like this. I'd feel peaceful. And then
the seed was planted. It just had to wait for the time to grow.
I guess it had to germinate. Then I switched to a holosync meditation, which you put it's brainwave entrainment based on what yogis who've been meditating for years. I did that for 8 years. Still, oh my God, this is boring. Then I found my main teacher for spirituality. Her name is Jetta Molly out of the UK. Oh my God, she's so fantastic. She does guided meditations, but what I say is she used her light and turned my light on. And now it's my turn to turn it on for other people. But from that first moment with her, I was having amazing peak spiritual experiences. And I even have it quite often now. It's where I kind of went up into like the stars, and then I saw this bright light, and suddenly I could see 360 degrees around me. I had no body.
Right. It's a beautiful experience.
I was everything and nothing all at the same time.
That's exactly what I say. It is. It is the ultimate experience. It really is.
And from that point forward, you're like, okay, I see us all as one. We're one being. But we have different, it's like a wave in the ocean, like the different waves. So but we're all part of the ocean. So I see us as part of this energy. And then as I was given, like, she teaches us to meditate months at a time on love, the standard love, gratitude. But my favorite was trust. And something about the trust, no matter what was happening to me, if I would meditate and go into a state of trust, we say log onto the sea of awareness or God or universe or whatever name you're giving it. And then you dissolve, you like surrender to it, you trust it, and it starts to show you more. And then you start to see, holy crap, we are it. It is us. It's living through us. It's there for us, just as you had said, but it seems to be, I don't know, this is my take on it. It seems to be that God wanted to experience itself. So how could it do that? It caused what I believe is the Big Bang, which caused that matter to have pockets of constriction, which is where planet Earth is, and we have space-time condensed enough to have space-time reality, and that's what we're all living. But it's living through us. It lives through us. It lives through my plant, my dog, but also hard things like my desk. And
Yes.
it's
Everything has a
everywhere.
signature, every single thing.
Yes. So to me, my take is that God wants to experience itself. So that's us. That's what we're here. It's living through us. It's experiencing us. And as we wake up, like you have and I have, that's what it's all about. It wants to know its magnificence, its amazingness. And I call those aha moments or snapbacks. Snap back to the true knowledge or truth of what we really are and what we're here. So when we suffer, it's almost like the trigger point to push us to become the seeker. Now, why am I suffering? Why do I have to suffer? Oh, wait, once I become like this, I really don't have to suffer. I see everything that my mind labeled was suffering was just a pivotal point to push me to become a seeker. And actually, those points were beautiful roses that were blossoming. So that's kind of how I see it, my take on it, my perception, what I get coming through. And we're on this massive shift. Human beings are massively longing to wake up, longing to experience this. And it seems like we're going through this heightened period where spirituality is going to take off. This is going to become common knowledge. And there's still going to be contrast. There's still going to be people who are either too young of a soul, they too attached to their stories. They're not going to want to leave them. I'm not sure exactly those people, but I'm not fixating on them. I'm fixating on all the people that want their light to be turned on. Those are the people that are willing, that are ready to hear this knowledge and to be, taught this sacred knowledge. That's why. That's
choice, right? Choice. It's that choice. It's when you feel like you've suffered enough, and what's this all about? Okay, I surrender.
Right.
I surrender. What is it you want me to know? What is it you want me to be? Who am I really? I mean, the ultimate question, who am I? What am I here for? And when you do surrender and you just allow yourself to go through the process. Now, I'm reverse to you. I was a completely zero academic. I've always been the spiritual being, right from a child. But I was a very sickly child, left alone a great deal. I played with dead people and I traveled dimensions. It's something I did all the time, and I thought everybody did. And I've been the knowingness person, knowing what I needed to know when I needed to know it, trusting that knowledge for other people when they needed to know it.
Yes.
And how do you know that? Can you repeat it? No, I can't. The message came through, was for you to receive, for you to do what you needed to do with it. I'm just the messenger. Now I'm the concierge. I'm at that gate there for the people that are waking up. And with the 10 years of my podcasting, I can now direct people to the people that can help them on that next level of their journey. Now, I wanted to be higher because, I am that spiritual being. I found it very hard to live here on earth with all the suffering, because it was a lot of the suffering is self-imposed. We think that we have to suffer. No, we do need to struggle. Struggle is a part of our growth, right? The caterpillar becoming the butterfly, the turtle going through the sand to the sea. We need the struggle. But why do we have to have the suffering? I think that is choice. And I think when we choose not to suffer anymore and to look at things not happening to you, but happening for you, and what can you become because of it, I think we change that whole paradigm.
Right. So I just want to convey another story, which is why I wrote my book, in that so I'm an orthodontist, and my mom had just passed away. She passed away in January of 2018. Her funeral was, I think, January 25th. No, it was February February 9th. It was 5 days before the Parkland shooting, because my practice was a mile and a half away from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting in Parkland. Do you know of that where you are?
Yes, yes, definitely.
So I'm working on the afternoon, and I'm literally thinking to myself, boy, I really handled my mom's passing. She and I were the closest of the family, where my dad did not, my sister did not, my brother did not. I did not suffer at all. I saw the beauty of her passing.
Mm-hmm.
I was with her when she took her last breath. We became Reiki masters together. So I was giving her Reiki as she was transitioning. And I'm like, I did not suffer. How could I not? I mean, I guess I just felt so much trust with the divine. I'm thinking this literally as a mom is standing next to me, and she shouts out, "There's an active shooter at Douglas." She got an alert on her phone. And turns out 5 o'clock the next morning, I find out I lost a patient, and one of my staff lost her sister. But the whole community was just beyond suffering. No one came in for about 6 weeks. And when they did, they had a blank look in their eye, like someone was gone, or it's what you equate as post-traumatic stress. So I knew they were suffering. And then one of my patients, adult patients, is a psychologist, and he said, "You watch, they're going to start committing suicide." And I'm like, I don't get the link. Why would they commit suicide? They lived. Why would they? And he said, because they have either survivor's guilt, where they think the person that passed away was so much better than them, that it should have been them and not that great person, or two, severe anxiety that they would never be safe again. There was nothing they could ever do. They would always be living in a constant state of heightened, severe anxiety. So they would just end up taking their lives. So I'm like, I have sacred knowledge. I need to help them. And I tried to help them. I tried to go to do different things. And they said, "Well, you're just an orthodontist." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. I'm a Reiki master. I've been meditating for 45 years. And, all of these things." They didn't want to hear it. They couldn't hear it, or they weren't ready to hear it. And so they kind of dismissed me. And then people started committing suicide. And I was like, someone's got to do something. But at the same exact time, Sarah, you might know this. I don't know, if this is going to ring a bell. It's like the 2x4 that you said, spiritual 2x4. You know how when there's a message coming through you spiritually, it's there, but you don't stop to write it down. You're developing on those lines, but you just keep going in your hamster wheel of a life. Okay, so that was me, but I loved being an orthodontist, loved it. But my back started giving me severe issues right when my mom was dying in January, and right around the Parkland shooting. I don't know if it's connected, but I think it was, because if I didn't have that, I would not have been like, I better put my practice up for sale, because after I got an MRI back, it said I had 17 bulging discs and 4 herniated discs that were compressing on my, spinal cord. Every time I was leaning over with patients, I was actually further damaging myself. So I said, you know what? I'm the sole breadwinner of my family. I think I should sell my practice. And I don't know, I just knew it was pushing me out of there. So I made the intention to put my practice up for sale. Bing, bam, boom. It sold so fast, and by the most extraordinary synchronistic events. So I tell you, like, so bizarre. A friend of mine I've known for 16 years, who lives in Parkland, 5 minutes from my office, had been looking for 16 years for a practice near his home. He ended up buying a main office that was about 50 minutes from him, but he still persisted. That was his dream, to find a beautiful office near home. As soon as he found out it was me that had the practice for sale, it was a done deal. Everything was a go until COVID hit. And COVID shut us down for a while. And I'm like, my trust is so strong. I'm like, you guys up there, you're whatever. I don't, it's not a masculine energy at all. It's a both energy. But I'm like, you have a really good sense of humor. You're just testing me. So it ended up closing, and this is so bizarre. So we transferred all my patients to this really great friend of mine who practiced the same way as me with the same everything, same plan. I loved him and he loved me, and he, kept all my staff, and he was so grateful to have my well-trained staff. It was just like a win-win-win-win
Yeah,
all
perfect
across.
alignment.
And so I leave the practice the day he has this beautiful party for me. 4 days later, I had rented a beach condominium just so I could decompress the sail, the COVID, my back issues, the shooting, everything. And I said, God, I don't know why you want me to leave, but I left. I'm trusting that there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I timed it with the first day of a 4-day spiritual retreat. So I was going to be there for a month, but the spiritual retreat was like right at the beginning of my renting this place. So we had to set an intention for the spiritual retreat. And it was, my next divine assignment is revealed to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the first day, I know you know what I'm going to say. The first day of the spiritual retreat, it goes with like a little different people come and they, teach you their technique. And then you do a process, like a meditative process. And I'm in one of the processes and I hear a voice that says, you're going to write a book on trust. Do you know what I say to it? I'm like, I'm a scientist. Writing is my weakest point. Why would you pick me for this? This does not seem right. So then, the whole day went on and I'm going to bed that night and I'm like, I'm really arguing with spirit, source, God, who am I?
Yeah.
Next day in another process, I hear so much clearer. Every day got clear. I hear, we have been grooming you and teaching you how to embody trust. This is so needed on the planet right
Yeah.
now. You're going to write a book for us that's going to teach it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you
No,
today.
because they will be channeling through you anyway. So, it's a joint venture.
Third day, heard nothing, but I'm like, okay, I'm not going to discount that because that's, as the scientist, a lot of times we discount what's going on in our inner life.
Yeah.
That I've learned now. I mean, I walk into, that's even more real than my outer world at this point. But fourth day, I heard in another process, okay, you're on board, you're going to write the book, here are the chapters, get up and write this outline down. So I got and I wrote it down and it wrote itself in like 5 days.
Yeah.
It was the most unbelievable thing. Now the book is short, but it's so profound and so deep, and I cannot take credit for anything in there. It just
It's a
is.
joint venture. They channel through you, they use you. But I mean, yes, it is a joint venture. It's not because you wrote it, per se, literally, but it is because you understood what the message was and you
Yeah.
could articulate it,
I
right?
translated. I got the vibration
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to translate it into English words.
Yeah.
It's just so incredible. I just love it. And it shows me it has angel wings. It's flying at, can I show the book?
Yes, yes, certainly.
So it shows me it has like angel wings flying on its own. It's like its own entity. It
Right.
literally feels like a spirit. And that picture is in my front yard. It was,
Ah,
when I woke up one morning, it was foggy. It was like sunrise. And I'm like, that. So I didn't even put two and two together. One of my friends said, oh, you should put that on your book cover. And I'm like,
well, it's
okay.
kind of a metaphor for life, isn't it? We have to trust the unknown, and if it's foggy and things aren't clear, we feel, oh no, when it's clear, I'll trust it. No, you need, the divine is asking us to trust, blind, deaf, and dumb in order to, see, hear, and feel. We don't need to verify something to trust it. If you trust it, it will be verified.
You're so right on there. So I'm oftentimes given a vision of just put 2 feet, like
Yeah.
you just go 2 steps.
Yeah.
And then, you trust and the ground is there and your next step is revealed to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the whole thing. Just take
You're
two
not
steps.
meant to. Wouldn't it
Yeah.
be awful if we did? I've just
Yeah.
written my memoir and it took me a long time to get to it because I should do it this way, I should do it that way. And other people, you
Oh,
go do it this way, do it that way. And eventually I was going to audio it. And I was going to have it was my angel's perspective, the voy voy, why isn't she listening? So it was, I just I took a month off in August, no shows. And I took a week with my children. Then I came back for 3 weeks and sat here and just wrote and let come out what needed to come out. And now I'm looking at it and it's kind of been redefined, added and subtracted and, placed together. But it is my observation of life. Somebody said, well, you're going to share the pain and the anguish. And I know, been there, done that, spent that.
Mm-hmm.
I am sharing the struggles I had, but where it led me to, and what I became because of it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not an emphasis on the struggles, it's an emphasis on who I am today
Mm-hmm.
and the willingness to take the journey. And I had to let it write itself and not dictate. Now, I have dyslexia and I cannot spell, and my grammar is out to dust. I bought, I bought Grammarly and I'm on Word and it corrects itself as it goes. And it's just let it be. Let it be what it needs to be. We as human beings love to dictate things so much. Well, the other thing is when you write a book, my sister said, who are you writing for? And I said, I'm writing for the people that have asked me to write the book. And they are the people who listen to my shows or the ones that I interview. Should they want to know more about me and my story, the book is there. I'm not writing for a broad spectrum audience. And if you're writing for an audience, you're not being authentic. Write for yourself, your own truth.
Mm-hmm.
Write what comes through you, what needs to be said. Trust that process and feel the knowledge. Don't think the knowledge. The feel
Yes.
to think,
Oh,
not thought to
oh,
feel.
oh, God. Okay, so here's what I'm about. Like Einstein died trying to prove the unified field theory. He was trying to get that mathematical from the left brain, the mind.
Mm,
But you and I know it's in this right brain. It's from that consciousness in that present moment, that awareness, that connection to divine. That's the answer. That's where everything golden comes from. But it's allowing, and it's allowing. The
the big
more
word
you
allowing. Allow.
allow.
Nikola Tesla. That was the difference between him and Einstein. Nikola Tesla had the intellect to understand what was being given to him. Everything he touched was about divine energy. It was about healing. It was about free energy. It was about freeing humanity. And he understood because he spiritually understood the intellect of what he was being given
Mm-hmm.
instead of analytically trying to understand it.
Mm-hmm. Einstein too, I just find him so fascinating because he came up with so many beautiful things. And how did he get it? He would get into a meditative state playing his violin because he was a
Mm-hmm.
concert violinist. And oftentimes that would be where he would get his downloads, or when he was
Yeah.
playing with his children.
And why does music have such an effect on us? And this took me a while to understand. And I was doing a show on galactic speak. It's a galactic language where somebody goes into a trance and they speak what you need to know, but they're speaking in a language that they don't understand and our intellect doesn't understand, but our soul does. And it's
Mm,
extremely rhythmical. And you can actually kind of feel a sense of calmness as it's being said to you. And then I realized it's just like music. And
mm,
I suffer a lot or have suffered a lot from depression in my life. And I realize I go to music. Music is my injection of infusion of recalibrating my energy. And it is the music. It's not the words, it's not the song, it's the music and the frequency of that music that recalibrates you. It
oh,
realigns you and rebalances you. So for him to go to the violin, where it's tuning him in so
mhm,
that he could receive. And we,
mhm,
we need to find what is it, that instrument in life that helps us do that. For some people, it might be jogging, or it might be reading, it might be meditating.
mhm.
Find that something that allows you to open up your channel and receive. And if you find yourself off balance, what is it that can put you back in that equilibrium so that your channel is always open?
Right. And there's so many things, right?
Yeah.
There are
Yes.
so many ways to heaven. I just know for me, it was this guided meditation
Mm-hmm.
really, really is what showed me the way. and I've had, I mean, for me, it was like a super highway. Now, in Autobiography of a Yogi, they talk about Kriya Yoga, which I never, I don't know if that is Jetta's technology and what she teaches, but it is just so fascinating to be in a guided meditation, become in the present moment. When you're guided, your mind, your left brain's actually given a job to do.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
allows you to stay
Yes.
in the present, almost tricks you into staying in the present moment. And then you can have some glorious things. Now, it is really one of the hardest skills I ever have achieved. And I still find I can fall out of practice. It's like a muscle using it, is coming into the present moment with nothing, with words, no mantra, nothing. You just are in the present moment, just pure being. And that is something so exquisite and peaceful, but it's also the foundation of which you manifest,
Yes.
heal things, and you go from, go into these guided meditations. It's really difficult to be though in the present
Yeah,
moment.
and it doesn't happen all the time. You talked about being up in the universe. It's my favorite place to go. And it's the stillness of everything and nothingness. You're out of body. You're just this beautiful spirit just floating. You will receive all that you need to know. And sometimes I have felt the presence of all the entities around me, kind of nurturing me, rejuvenating me, so that I can come back and do what I need to do. And other times I'm just this beautiful blank space, which is exquisite because there is no dialogue, there is nothing. You're just in it, that beautiful space.
Oh.
And it's um I had about 8 years in this lifetime where I disappeared from my life and went into the darkness. My soul did. My soul and spirit did, because it was being wounded and it needed to say, look after itself. And I knew the light was there and I didn't know how to get back out of it. And the difficult thing about being in the darkness is where a lot of people, if you're there too long, you can get very comfortable in the darkness. And you've
Yes.
got to be careful. Become very complacent. It's a place, it's not the devil and brimstone. It is a place of abstinence from life. And you can disconnect from life altogether. So I came back out. And as I came back out, I felt everything was too bright. And then you feel shadows chasing you until you realize, I love going back into the darkness now, because that is where I see the light. That is where I see the truth. I'm not afraid of it. It doesn't hold on to me, but that is where I see the clarity.
Yes. Yes. I think that something about welcoming the darkness, welcoming the shadows, welcoming everything. I mean, it seems like it's a universal antidote.
Yeah.
Welcome it. Don't run away from it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to push it down. Ignore it. Don't try that.
Yeah.
Just welcome it. Look at it. Turn around and look at it with the full light of consciousnly. How did you know? Like, what gave you the tools to be able to do that? Is what I would like to know. Did you hear someone, see
Well,
someone?
at that time, there really wasn't, and that's one of the reasons I do what I do. There wasn't the accessibility to people who are helping other people. But I did have a woman with a pendulum that released me of 152 lifetimes.
Mm.
And in reducing, those lifetimes, I had more of a kind of a blank space to know who I am and what I'm here to do. I had forgotten, because I had gone through many lifetimes of persecution. And I knew that a lot of the pain and the suffering I was feeling in this lifetime was the residual from past lifetimes. So having that removed gave me a space to discover meaningful purpose and regain my spirit work here in this lifetime.
Do you feel like I feel we're here to help heal the collective?
Oh, of
Like,
course, yeah.
collective lack of worthiness, lack of
Yeah.
self-love, lack of really worthiness.
Yeah.
And it takes us to be the spiritual seekers and what do we call it? Stakeholders, where we plant our feet
Yeah.
firmly. And, and to get the tools, we have to be super powerful and trust in our skills to be able to negate and wipe out millions, maybe. I don't know how many human beings we help when we clear ourselves
Right.
and become worthy. But there's so much. I don't know if you're, I don't, I was raised Catholic, and in the Catholic Mass, there is a spot where they brainwash. It's like,
Yes.
wash you. I am not worthy to receive you. Just say the word and I shall be healed. And that's how they keep you under their thumb, and they spoon feed you how to
Yes.
see God, to relate to God. Like, really, actually, you're not worthy to have a direct relationship with God. You can talk to a priest or a bishop
Yes.
or something like that, but you are not worthy, and they don't want you to feel
No, no,
worthy.
no, 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 no. They don't want you to have a direct channel. You've always had a direct channel. Always, always, always. You are that channel. You
Everyone.
are God. You are a part, every particle that is in the universe made up this planet, and that includes God's essence, the Tao and beyond. One of the reasons why the universe is in such a hurry right now to turn the volume up on us and for us to change. And about 5 years ago, they gave me a saying: the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up and change it up and grow up. And the double entendre on the grow up is grow up vibrationally, but also grow up as a petty human race. And
Oh,
we're still, many people are still being shaken. And the pandemic definitely shook us, but also so many people stood up at that time and decided to change it up and that embrace that beautiful divine energy and grow up. But the people that are still living in fear or anger or discord, disconnect, they're trying to, the Celtic rune Haglas, disruption. They know that we are now about to go into a spiritual plane that is of a higher force. We have to, in order to save this planet, which will have a ricochet effect on the universe. So it's imperative right now that they change the way we use our energy. But the people that are still in that negative mode, they know the changes are coming and they're afraid and they're trying to hold on so much to what they do know because they're too afraid to embrace what is here and what is growing.
mm. I want to share a vision I got and see, here's where you'll maybe say, yeah, I got that too, or no, I didn't get that at all. I got the download. I've been getting it for about the past 9 months, that humanity, it's all about individual freedom, individual light, and the highest expression of human potential through freedom. But we're on the brink, and I feel this so much with like China and Russia. We're on the brink of losing it because they're trying to shut
Mm,
down that human freedom, where it's really, the West
yeah.
that's bringing, that is about it, but it seems like that's even also trying to be shut down, suppressed. um but that's what I'm feeling. But
You
it's
can't shut it down anymore.
we're no
You
we're
can't.
gonna lose out.
Resistance is futile.
Yes,
It really is.
it's going
There,
to happen.
there are
We
too
must
many
and
people
will.
that have gone, the scale has already been tipped. And
Yeah.
all, through podcasting, through books, through people talking about it, we're seeing more and more of the open spirituality, of the open embracement of divine essence, of realizing we are divine essence, and more this, when we step into that beautiful light of who we are and shed that light on everyone else, the more harmonious we're going to be as a human race, which will calm the planet down, which will set the universe in better balance. And those that are still choosing to be in the hate and the anger and the discord, because it's all choice, it's all choice, they are going to go by the wayside. They will be diminished by their own existence or lack of existence because they're not living. They're living constantly in fear and in inadequacy and in ignorance and in self-doubt and lack of worth.
Yeah.
So, we can't help people that will not help themselves. But those that decide and say, I'm just tired of being terrified. I'm tired of the struggle. I am tired that every time I think I'm going in the right direction, I'm up against a hurricane. How do I get out? And when that person says how, and they're willing to do the work, Now we have a beautiful soul that we could show them how to awaken and step into their own beautiful essence.
Mm. Oh, that is so well said, Sarah. When you said the scale has tipped, I literally got electricity going through my whole body and I got goosebumps everywhere. It was just like such profound truth being spoken. So
Mm.
thank you. And yes, that's exactly, we're on the same page. We're getting the same,
That's
or
what,
very
that's why you
similar.
had your redirect. That's why the alignment was so strong. That's, everything had to align for you. And even in, the fact that you have the scientific mind, but you have chosen the spiritual path, it helps you articulate to that logical, analytical mind. And the beauty of what I'm seeing now, and this is why this show is called Quantum Spirituality, we're seeing the quantumness of scientists understand the energy of spirituality, the energy of love, and understanding those that choose to live on that higher plane, that higher frequency of love, cannot knowingly do any harm to anyone, for it harms themselves. And they have actually instruments that measure that now. And
Mhm.
they're understanding spirituality is not as a woo-woo cult thing, but as a divine energy that literally is going to rise us up to more potential, to being better human beings, to saving the planet, and quite essentially is saving the universe, because the universe is scared of what we're doing to this planet.
Oh yeah, and I get that too. It's having
Mm-hmm.
reverberations on all of entirety of
Yeah.
this universe, but beyond.
Yes, yes. The ricochet,
After.
the ripple effect, right?
Yes.
And, we're kind of almost like a human experiment. It was that divine essence of being spiritual beings wanting to experience what it was like to be in human form. And, if you look at us, we're not that old. We're only a few thousand years old. And this world has been here for millions of years. The universe, God knows how long. And this is only one universe we're talking about. There are multiple universes. And I know I came here a very, very long time ago. I sacrificed my home and everything I knew to come here to awaken souls and hearts. That has always been my job. Whatever persecution, wherever direction I took, that was always my job. Um, it has for a very long time made me feel very sad and homesick to be living in a world that chooses war and hate over love. And it is beautiful in this lifetime. And this is why this lifetime I was given back my own empowerment. And this is why I was released from the pain of the past. It was because I could finally, in this lifetime, step up and do what I was meant to do in the first place, because people are ready for it. They're also hungry for it.
Yes, so well
That's the
said.
reason why you've been awoken. And this
Mhm.
is why so many other people are going, I was this, and I had no idea I was going to take this path, but this path opened up before me, and there was no option other than to take it, because it drew me in. And not one single person has regretted it. Not one.
Mm. Do you also see, it goes to this, it ties in writing your book and what you just said, but do you see, like, when you reflect back on your life, there are little breadcrumbs leading
Mm,
you to this path right now where you are,
yeah.
and it's like, if that didn't happen and that didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like little milestones or breadcrumbs just showing you the way. It's just so fantastic to look back in
But
hindsight.
it's also how much I was in my own way. I was so busy trying to
Yeah.
be a human living up to the human expectation, when my
Oh,
spirit was saying, this is your path, this is your path. And when I was in that path, I was happy and in truth. But then it was, no, no, other people expect me to be this. And every
yes.
time I stepped into that expectation, that is where I lost myself. And I
Yeah.
never lived up to anybody's expectation, because, it is, I want you to be this. And I'm like, that's
Right.
not me. Are you seeing me? I can't be that.
Right.
And also, let's face it's a different type of fear. When you talk and you become that, and I think this is the reason why I was given a disease of fibromyalgia. It was to calm my energy down, my passion down, because it was too much for people. Even today, it can still be too much with people, but the pain suppresses that energy a bit. But there are so many people that are terrified of what's happening to them in the beginning.
Mm,
Because why? The church and the media, the movies, and all of that have told them that it's something evil happening to them.
mm,
Instead of allowing themselves to trust this,
right,
what does the core of you tell you?
right. Yeah, that's trust is the big for me. I mean, more than gratitude, more than love, trusting that there's not a hair out of place. It's more than a belief,
Mm,
an actual concrete knowledge, a tangible relationship, a communion with
yeah.
source. So when something like that happens, you just go into it,
Mm-hmm.
welcome it,
Mm-hmm.
look at it with love and gratitude and thankfulness, but most of all for me, trust that it's there for a reason. So what is it?
Yeah.
If there is a reason, what is it? And then it seems to dissolve. Things
Yeah.
dissolve when I come at it like that, and it's left in all that's beautiful,
Yeah.
and anything that's not beautiful drops away.
Yes.
And you can almost, can you imagine, you almost deal with anything with this type of attitude, trust, and it's more than faith. So I don't want to see faith is based on something you cannot see. It's not tangible. This is
It is
very
tangible
tangible. It is.
because you are the energy, and literally scientists can measure your frequency now. And people who have chosen this path are living at a higher frequency. And they can measure that. They are understanding that. It's also like the power of quote, quote, prayer, whether it is prayer or just sending divine energy. My sister had an operation just over a month ago, and it was life threatening. It was 60-40 against her.
Mm,
And I asked my beautiful colleagues here and people that follow me to send out those good vibrations to her. Collectively, I had 300 people. I'm praying for her. I'm sending her good vibrations. I'm doing this and that. The operation, because she had a hernia um, in between her breasts that had been allowed to get so big because she has sticky blood. So they didn't want to operate. And she went to a different doctor and they said, if we don't operate it, it's pushing against your heart. It's going to kill you. And
mm,
when they actually did remove it, they had found all her organs had been completely pushed aside and put in different places. It was a miraculous operation. And they said, you wouldn't have had much life left without this. And I know that that beautiful energy that was sent to her, the 9 operation only went 4.5 hours. It was
mm.
a complete success, which they didn't quite know what they were going to be up against, right? And I
Wow.
know, I really do utterly believe, whether you call it prayer or whether you call it sending divine energy, when we send out that energy to other people, they receive it. It heightens the energy around them and it becomes healing. It becomes that force that really helps them wherever, whatever situation they're in.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Sarah. I had a similar situation with my mom. I was starting my first year in orthodontic school in New York, and she found out she had stage 3 breast cancer, and the
Mm,
tumor was the size of a
mm,
grapefruit. It was huge. And so, lymph nodes on the same side were supposed to be involved. So she asked me to come home with her and go to a Catholic mass. And I came home on a Friday. The surgery was going to be on a Monday. So it was going to be 3 days later. So we went to this beautiful sunset mass, and the sun was setting. It's a small chapel, like all like
mm,
three walls were windows, and
mm.
the sun was setting behind the
Oh,
priest.
beautiful.
It was glorious, but
Mm,
not just a regular sunset. It was
yeah.
like fire red
Mm,
sky. It was just so perfect. And it was in the fall and the air was crisp.
mm,
So at the end of the mass, the priest said, we're going to have a laying on of the hands if anyone's interested. So my mom said, come stand in line with me. I want them to do it for me. So we stood in line. There weren't very many people in this. It was like a little chapel, but we waited for maybe two people, and then it got to be her time. And the priest asked her what her malady was. So she told him, and he put his hands right here on her face. She said they got so hot, but not like burning.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it just was really hot. She could feel it. And then after about what I thought was about 10 minutes, he said, "You are healed." So we go Monday for the surgery. It's just my dad and me, and we're in the, the reception hall where the doctor comes out and talks. We're sitting in chairs, and he comes out and he goes, "I don't know how to tell you this, but we removed her breast, but we could not find any trace of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Find positive notes, which we removed, and they did show up as positive." So we are like,
Mm-hmm.
what was that? So she and I, we actually, I was at Columbia University at that point, and Dr. Oz was doing research with Reiki, using Reiki on cardiac patients, because he was a cardiac surgeon. So he gave, control group got no Reiki, and then the actual experimental group got Reiki, and he found out they were healing statistically faster.
Yes.
So she and I went on to become Reiki masters, because we thought that was so
Yeah.
amazing, like just to see that miraculous.
What's actually more amazing is that it was a priest who actually obviously wasn't just quote, quote, a religious priest, but was a divine priest who
Mhm.
used God's um, energy to do what they were designed to do, which is to heal, to comfort, to nurture, to
Yeah.
empower. And you don't get that very often, right?
No.
You get them going into it. I mean, I've done shows on priests doing things they shouldn't do and never any accountability,
Yeah.
right? So to actually have a priest that did this in a way that he allowed God's essence and energy to come through, to be that healing and trust that channeling of it, and not lord it over people, but be that vessel,
Yeah.
is rare and beautiful.
Yeah, it really, really was. I mean, so, there are so many exquisite
Yeah.
events that happen to us, and just by being this platform and getting the words out is
Yes.
sending a vibration that shifts
Yes.
the
Precedes
whole
us.
universe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
and the thing I think is that you've written a book on trust, and I think this is very apropos because we're in a world right now of distrust, especially in North America. You've got a civil war coming up.
yes,
You
yeah,
really do, and it's sad to see that because during the first part of the lockdown, people just came together for each other in such beautiful light, in such appreciation, and such gratitude for those that on the forefront that people deemed to be lowly were the people that were the saviors, and then it changed to this freedom thing, which uh please just go over to Ukraine or go over to India or go over to North Korea or even go into China and find out what the lack of freedom really is,
yeah,
right? And it's like if you could appreciate the freedom that you do have instead of making it a hurricane of discord that a lot of people are just joining the bandwagon without really, if you ask them, it's it's ounce deep, if you know what I mean. It's not a yard deep, it's an ounce deep. And it's understanding that if we could be there for each other with an ounce of kindness, an
mhm,
ounce of consideration, an ounce of compassion, and stop worrying so much about, I think I think it's this way and I think it's that way, and just feel together that beautiful energy.
mm.
It will show you a different way altogether.
Yes, yes. I'm actually, oh, just a couple of things to expound upon that. My Jetta will say, it's like, I stand for the men. No, I stand for the women.
Right.
I stand for the vegetarians. I stand
Yeah.
for the meat eaters. I stand for the Republicans.
Yeah.
I stand for the Democrats. And she said, once you take a stand,
Yes.
then the stand takes you.
Yes. It starts rooting. Yeah.
Yes, and you are not free any longer.
No, you're not. You've become a prisoner of that stand because when I do die, I've already got the little vessel I'm going to have my ashes put into, and it's going to be planted with a willow tree. And the reason I've chosen the willow tree is that the roots go deep, the trunk is very strong, but those branches are forever moving, whichever way the wind needs to take them. There's no restriction, which I cannot live in that kind of restriction. And if when we become so dogmatic over something that we're not willing to bend and be flexible, who are we hurting?
Right. Ourselves.
Ourselves. Mhm.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So then this takes it to the next step. So I ask source, oftentimes I wake up, especially lately, especially like the last year, I wake up at like between 1:30, 2 o'clock, sometimes even 4, and then I'm up for hours and I'm getting just all these downloads. When I have a clear
Channel.
yes, there you go. So I asked, well, what is the way? What do you see? And they say it's the celebration
Mm.
of the differences that make all the difference. When you acknowledge the different colors, the different religions,
Yes.
different this, the different that, and you embrace it and you love it and you look at it as an elation, as energy, as
A
a
buffet.
celebration,
Yeah.
as a celebration,
Yes.
that's the answer.
Yeah.
That is the answer.
There is no one size fits all.
No.
I'm sure you've heard on the shows that you've heard with, because I say this almost in every show. I believe that we need to discover what our beautiful instrument is. This is the instrument we've been gifted with. We learn how to play it, then we look for the orchestra to join, and in collective harmony, we create a symphony that resonates out. That orchestra is not going to be that strong or that harmonious without each individual beautiful instrument there. That doesn't mean you can't play on your own, but collectively look at the music that we can play. We
Mhm.
are meant to be the individual instrument that collectively comes together, because that's where the harmony is.
Yes, that sounds so beautiful. You are so fun to talk to, and to it like a ping, 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 ping. It's love it.
Well, you've
Love
got me on my, my divine topic. I mean, this is, and what I'm finding so beautiful, and I'm sure you are too. I have business shows and I have, other shows that don't have to be around spirituality. But what I am finding now, especially in business, that consciousness that's waking up, where it's people, planet for profit, not profit at the expense of people and planet. Whether it's people saying, appreciate the people that work with you, create a family, be authentic with your customers. It's not about the bottom line. And it's so beautiful to see these business practices and government practices. I had this whole Let's Get Synced series, which I interviewed quite a number of people in Europe and around the world. Some of them are ambassadors and, work with big organizations and governments in changing this whole climate of compassion, of appreciation, of gratitude, and of balance that we don't have that with the ivory towers, at the, quite essentially the slaves at the bottom. And
it.
that I think is why we're seeing so many people. Let's go back 50 years and change this rule and change that rule. Woman barefoot and pregnant in in the kitchen. There is no going back, mate. You may have to hold on as much as you want to that past. That past has spent and gone. And the only reason you're wanting it so much is that you haven't yet found the courage or the strength or the ability to embrace this new path.
Mm. Well said. So
And
well.
that is that journey, though, isn't it? Whether it's the cosmic 2x4 or whether it's the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you got the nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Mhm,
Everything was beautifully aligned for you. All right.
mhm.
And you listened and you paid attention and you followed the path that they showed you because this was the instrument that you are. Right. And when we surrender to that, instead of fighting it or dictating it or arguing with it, we
Yeah,
just allow and be, then we actually, oh my God, wow, this feels so good. And I
yeah.
feel I'm doing so much more for humanity than what I was doing before.
It's authenticity
Mhm.
is also huge. And you're right. What is that authentic thing you're here to do?
Mhm. Yeah.
and let it express itself. I wanted to be a horse trainer when I was little.
But horses would have taught you that,
They would
probably
have.
would have brought the spirit out of you even earlier, because our
Yes.
animal kingdom is
Yeah.
is totally intuitive. And if we
Yeah.
listen to our animals, we listen to our nature, it will open us up so much faster, right? So the fact that you wanted that was already the calling. It was
Yeah.
already the calling that I don't care how many master's degrees you get, this is the path
Oh,
that you're going to be on.
no, and all of that knowledge, that head knowledge,
Mm,
pales in comparison
yeah,
to that direct connection
yes,
and the information that flows because of it. It is just, it's endless. It's almost like you find that when you make the connection and you begin to trust it, you could spend so many lifetimes deepening and deepening and deepening. It just seems like once you get enough trust and connection, that you could just now go go down, go
mm,
deep, a deep dive, instead of just
yeah,
finding a superficial connection.
yeah.
It's just goes so deep and forever,
Your
and
toes curl.
it's so rich and
Yeah,
delicious, and
and true.
oh,
And true and honest, that this is the beauty of it. This is why I say, the knowingness, listening to the divine knowledge, the wisdom that comes through the heart and truth, that goes to the spirit and action, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it knows, when it needs to know it. The thing about that, it's a deep breath. You don't need to verify, justify, anyfy. It is what it is in that beautiful moment. And it
mhm,
is so trusting.
it is, and nourishing.
Yes. And if we, what is that trust factor? Why do we have that lack of trust? Is it a lack of knowledge, or is it a lack of, or is it an abundance of fear, feeling that if we let go of our control, we will lose ourselves? Well, when we step into this divine thing, we realize we don't have control. The control is in not having control.
Yes. And it feels good. It doesn't,
Yes.
not scary. It
Right.
feels it feels exciting and
Yeah.
exhilarating. Okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Let me just take that next step and step out and trust. And lo and behold, you're thinking you're stepping off a cliff, but there's magic there. There's
Yeah.
ground that comes to, oh, it's almost like you cannot articulate certain things, but it's a feeling that yes, you step out and you're going to be exhilarated
Yes.
by what happens next.
Yeah. And you know what? You don't have to know what happens next. Now, we can, as humans, with the certain things that we do need to plan. I run a podcast network. I do need to plan who's coming in next and prepare for it. There is the logistics of things that we need to do. But it's like, as I said, this week has been a beautiful spiritual week. Every single person in their own instrument has contributed to the orchestra this week. And I love it when it happens. I had a couple of people who couldn't make it and had to postpone. And that was okay, because actually they weren't quite the same orchestra, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Gotcha.
fight it. I don't, it
Okay.
is what it is. And when, I love it when that synchronicity of that vibe just continues on. Did I plan that? No. Right? Did I look at everybody's frequency and say, okay, I've got to plan this one here and that one there, that one there? No, I just allow and let it come, and let all these beautiful people, each with their own instrument and what they're doing, share the beautiful essence of who they are, because they're pouring it over anybody that wants to listen and apply.
Wow, you trusted. You
I
used
trust it.
trust that the perfect people would show up at the perfect
Yeah.
time so that the message and the vibration would get out there.
Yep.
It's
And
love.
that is, your book on trust.
Yes.
It's, what is trust? It's letting go of the control. It's letting go of the dictation of how should things, do you think should things, you
Yeah.
think, went blah, blah, blah. But it is about just that beautiful word of allowing,
Mm-hmm.
allowing what is meant to be, And sometimes we take that step forward and we don't know why. Why am I going down this road? And we might even get to the end of the road and not realize. But when we get to the other road, I needed to go down that road to get here.
Yes. Yes. Have you ever been that just reminds me too. I've been driving and I was on my honeymoon with my husband in on the big island of Hawaii. And we're driving, we're just taking a tour and I go, turn here. He goes, why? I said, I don't know, just turn there. And then I said, now turn here. And I took us to the sacred holy ground where they would throw the people off the other side of the island that had sinned or committed a crime. And if they were able to swim around the island and through shark infested waters and into the cove, and they made it out and were able to walk out, they were revered as gods. So it was this holy shrine, and people were doing qigong and tai chi. And I had really no reason why. I just said, turn here, turn. But whenever you hear that, and whenever
pay attention.
Yes, do it, listen. And you don't know why, but you're going to get a pleasant surprise. It's just so fantastic. I trust.
I had a conversation with one of my guests this week, and then afterwards, when I went to bed that night, I woke up and an entire second book started coming out. I haven't written it yet. It's there, but it's this book right now is the memoir of this human lifetime. This other one is the origins of why I came here and the many lifetimes I've lived. And it's just like, oh, okay, all right. I know that's the second book, and I know that one will write really easily when it's ready. I haven't got time right now because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
But I will take a week somewhere where I've no shows, and this is what I'm going to do.
Well, I have someone who might be able to help you get it into fruition. She's an editor, but she's a spiritual genre editor, and she might be able to co-write it with you and make it happen. If you're interested, we can talk later.
Yeah. Well, I know that it's already kind of written. It just needs my fingers to put it down. At least the first few chapters. And then it said, okay, the pausing for now, get that written, and then I'll bring you the rest. So it is, it's like, okay, I wasn't expecting to write another book. In fact, the next book I want to do is a collaborative book on the raising our gifted children. It's on our Forgotten Children series. And that's a book that I really want to get out there, because I think that the way we're raising our children is what's causing a dysfunctional adult society. We need to change our way. So no, I didn't want a second book right now, but it is what it is, and it's no, they're not always kind of time friendly. Like, I am so busy right now. What do you mean another book? But they give it to you when they feel it is time, and I will have to make time, like I did with this one. I literally shut down for the month of August, and just did it, and then it just came out, and it's I won't do that again for a whole month, but I think actually this one will, at least where it needs to be at a certain point, will probably come out in a week. So, but it's like that saying that the universe, shake it up, wake it. I was given that 5 years ago. I was given a whole blueprint of where I needed to take my podcast network and the next things I needed to do. It is close to 5 years now, and I've started doing it bit by bit, but I wear all the hats, right? So it's only what I can do. And it's like, why isn't this happening already? Because you gave this to me so long ago. And it was like, trust the process.
Yes.
Trust the process. And you may feel like you haven't got there yet, but the steps, you've already laid the foundation, right? Trust those next steps, and they will be revealed when they need to be revealed. And I think as human beings, I think there's two lessons that are hard. Three. One, letting go of the past. It doesn't serve you anymore. Two, taking that first leap, that first step of moving forward in trust and allowing. But the other one is, just because you think it should be done now doesn't mean it needs to be done now.
Are you talking from the human mind or the big mind?
Well, the spirit has a plan. So the human mind, we carry so much of our past with us.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't serve us, then why are we still loaded down with it? And this,
pathways
yeah,
that
the leap of faith, taking blind, deaf, and dumb in order to see, hear, and feel. And then the stop dictating how you think things should be and allow them as they are meant to be.
Yeah, that's easier said than done, right?
Exactly. Yes. And for a person like yourself with all the education, which is so structured and so
Yeah.
kind of linear and so absolute, for you to let go of that and go to completely the opposite. It was easy for me because that's the state of being that I live in. But for
Yeah.
you to then go to that and let go of all of that and just trust what you need to know when you need to know it, is exemplary. But I can imagine probably you had some little push and pull on that for a while.
Well, I told you I love being an orthodontist. I would not
Yeah.
have loved if I wasn't pushed out.
Yeah.
And I know Spirit gave that to
Yeah.
me to keep me out. And,
Yes.
even though I might want to go back to it, I still have that back issue
Yeah.
because it doesn't want me to do it. It
No.
wants me to stay on this path. This is the path where my instrument, I say it's a vehicle,
Yeah.
but instrument, as you put it in your words, it's where my instrument is meant to play right now in the
Yes.
orchestra.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
the knowledge. And it's like once you've seen and had these
Mm.
experiences and you have these knowings, it's like a boiled egg. You're never going to go back to being unboiled.
You're
So
right.
it's time. And I do believe it's time for humanity. So I'm trusting.
Absolutely. And you know that the main media isn't going to cover anything like this. And even in shows that anything that's spiritual, they make a cult and something evil. That is the old paradigm's interpretation of it in order to keep us in control.
Right.
I have this program or analogy I used in one of my coaching programs, and it's a ruler of 12 inches. Yes, I'm British, so I still go in inches and not matrix. But the 6 to 12 inches is the people that have chosen the various levels of positivity. And your 4 to 6 are the people that have chosen now to step into that, and they're in that healing and discovery process to get to that 6 where they can tip over. Your 1, 2, and 3 are the piranhas that refuse. They will, they don't want to, or they don't know how to, and they go after those 4 5s that are trying to get into the energy and suck the life out of them. And you'll see so many people, you think, oh, gosh, look, they look like they were kind of crossing over and then they took a complete dive back. And that's because of the people around them. So I think it's absolutely essential when you're on this spiritual journey is to put yourself around that spiritual energy, because there are those that are resisting and that will suck that energy out of you, because suddenly your battery is going up, suddenly that power is there and they want it to keep their hate going, right?
Yeah.
So it is very, very important that you do put yourself in the loving sphere of people that really do have you, because they'll help you propel forward a lot quicker.
Yes, yes. I think everything. I love what you're saying. I love what you're doing. It's just so fantastic. Thank
Right, well, right back at you, my darling, because you embraced it. You listened to it. You didn't fight it. You went with it. And you don't know where it's going to go. It gave you a book, and we were talking about the book now and trust and everything else, but you don't know what your next chapter is going to be. And isn't that exciting?
Yes, it is.
Let go of the reins. The horse knows where it's going.
Yes, yes. So to point. Oh my goodness.
So how do people get hold of the book, and how do they get hold of you, and how can you help people on this journey?
Oh, so many ways. Okay, the book is available on Amazon in the paperback, the Kindle, and Audible, which Spirit insisted on my voice, me doing it, which was the biggest, took the most time.
Yes, I'm going to be having to do that. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's available on Amazon. And then if your viewers buy the book through Amazon, take the code, they can go to divinetrustbook.com and put the code in there and get all kinds of free gifts. They'll get a Happy for No Reason free workbook. They'll get a meditation from me. It's like a synopsis of trusting, and it's just 12-minute it's about 12 minutes. One is an explanation and one's a 12-minute meditation. So all the meditations are on the shorter side. A good friend of mine, Dr. Sue Mortar, is doing a meditation on healing. So those free things. But if they don't want to buy the book and they just want to sample something, they can just go to trustthedivine.com, scroll all the way to the bottom on the page, and there's a free meditation I did called You Are Beautiful. I just love that. Like, everything's okay. And it's still very short. You just have to enter your email and you get that for free. So if they want to try it, they can
I
go to
love the
Trust the
title,
Divine.
Trust the Divine. I don't know how you actually managed to get that, because I would have thought that would have been gone as a URL. But it's just, it says it all. Trust the divine. You know, what it is as human beings, we've been told that we need to control everything and everything has to be tightly reined. And really, everything about the trust and the divine is let go of the reins. We've got you. We'll show you the way.
Yes. So one thing I want to say to your listeners and viewers is make the decision, choose
Yes.
to find knowledge, whether it's with me or Sarah or someone else, just choose it.
Yes.
And
take that first leap, that first step, right?
Yes.
Yes. I promise you the waters are wonderful. Come on in.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I've interviewed people, as I was telling you about one beautiful woman, Victoria from Contagious Smile, before the show. You know, she is like a bionic woman with so much metal in her because her previous husband beat her up so badly that they've had to replace metal, and she was pregnant at the time. It damaged the child. And then, you know, the work that she's doing today in helping other people of abuse, and the raising dogs for comfort dogs, the energy and the spirit of this woman is heavenly, and that's why I support her so heavenly. And we look at people like that and I think she could so rested on her laurels as a victim, and nobody would have blamed her with what she's been through.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not going to give him any more power. Right. I'm not going to give him any more time or energy. Right? I'm going to be there for the people that want not only to survive, but to thrive. And she stepped into that higher energy, and the work that she's doing now. And this is the thing. There's so many people I've interviewed that have gone through some horrific things that never should be done to a human being. But they were willing to go through that process of self-discovery, willing to step into their beautiful light and their meaningful purpose. And the glory that they are to us today is truly a gift.
Yes.
And nobody gets there without taking that first step and willing to go through that process of discovery.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Yes.
So take that step, read the book. A lot of people, the reason why they're scared to take this journey is they don't trust it.
Right.
Because, you know, the culture's opinion of it, because if I surrender everything, am I going to be taken, you know, the devil come and get me and all of that. It's that trust factor. When you learn to step into trust, that divine trust, now that you really take me anywhere you want.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's just fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah, for what you're saying. But trust will protect you.
Yes.
It's actually way stronger than putting protection around you.
Yes.
And it's a better
companion. It is you. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Walk trust.
Yeah. And the thing about that trust, it's that knowingness, it's that now, it's that allowance, it's that love can't hurt you. Right now, you're not like, oh, but my spouse hurt me or my boyfriend hurt me. No, that was the human love. We're talking about the divine love. That divine loving energy takes you on such a higher plane where it is there to nurture, to guide you, to inspire you, to uplift you, to invite you into that beautiful higher vibration and frequency. And when you trust that love, because that's what the supreme power is, it's pure love. When you trust that, even if you fall, you know that that fall isn't out to get you or punish you. It's out to show you another lesson that you need to learn for the next chapter of your life.
Exactly. Perfect and beautiful. Wow. Yeah.
So trustthedivine.com, trustthedivine.com/book or trustthedivinebook.com.
it's Divine Trust Book. So it's actually the name of the books.
Right.
And that URL was taken, Divine.
Right.
So trust the divine. So this, to get the free things, is divinetrustbook.com.
Okay. Right. And, I think everybody at some point, even if you feel that you're kind of faring along on that journey, there's still a trust factor. You know it. It's niggling at me. We need a reminder, or we need that boost of energy. Like, you can let that go. And so, as you said, it's a short, simple, decisive divine book that can help people let go and trust the divine and moving forward. And if you know somebody that is wanting to take that journey, but they don't just trust it, give them the gift of the book.
Yes, it's the foundation from which all spiritual gifts come from.
You can't have the gratitude and you can't have the attitude until you've let go, until you trust and you let go of the fear, right?
Yes.
You got to trust the process.
Yes.
And it's beautiful when you do.
Yes. Amen to that.
Thank you so much for being here today and trusting me with your story.
Oh,
and I love the fact that you listened. With all that academic stuff that you have there, it will come in useful. It gives you that structure. It shows you how to set things up as a template, but instead of using it in that way, you're going to use it in the spiritual way that is going to be more constructive for people on that journey. So nothing we do is a waste. It's just a redirection into its real purpose.
Yes, to use that to help propel you on and in actually helping it. It's going to make so much sense when I come from the scientific aspect to help people. So yes, thank you, Sarah, so much. And I love what you're doing too.
I kind of feel the next book that you're writing is actually to the scientific world on the quantumness of the measured energy, of measured love, and how logical it is. Because you can really write that from the logical divine mind and make it into a point where it's indisputable to them.
Yes, yes. I've had that download too. Yeah, I have. So I think that's great.
I can feel your fingers going.
Yeah.
And when you do come back, I want to share it.
Okay, I will.
For that mind that wants to have everything justified, verified, and dotified, it is like when you are it, you don't need any of that validation. You are the validation.
That's true. That's the way I feel. I can go on down that road, but I know our time is probably up. And yes, don't get me on the scientific journey and writing scientific paper, because this is just one last thing I'm going to stop end the show with, is that we know that electrons or atoms can be both a wave and a particle. What causes the particle to collapse into that actual reality? It's human observation causes it to collapse. So it's the point of observing something. So after I found that out, I'm like, why do research? Because the hypothesis is going to make it so. And then you have the double blind. And I'm going, but someone already has the observation. So it's already going to collapse that wave particle down. So don't you guys see all of that?
Yeah.
Quantum physics explains everything.
Right.
Everything.
Okay, then I'm going to start writing, girl.
I know.
That's the next book. I really do feel it. And it will be for that, though, because I'm a true colors coach, it will be for those people that really do need, well, where are the facts?
Right.
And when you present it in that way and they look at it and go, okay, you have a point. I have to look at things differently. Right? And all it is shifting the perspective.
Oh, yes. I so agree with you, and thank you for confirming. You know how you have a thought, you have like maybe I should do that, but it doesn't really land. It's like bouncing around inside.
It will do. It will come together, and then it will be okay. I have to get going on this. But yes, no, that is the one I feel that you need to do next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I I think I'm going to listen to your spiritual guidance from that. Thank you.
It's needed. It's needed for those minds that want to argue every point.
Yes.
Right. And when you speak their language in a way that it, even if it just shifts the perspective just a little bit, it starts shattering the illusion that we're in and to start seeing the reality of what is.
Mm.
That's all we need to do, right? That's all we need to do. And it sends them on their own path of discovery.
Oh,
So
thank you so much.
trust
For
the
many things.
divine.com. You know what? Trust the divine.com. You're trusting the divine, and the divine just told me that's your book. So so thank you for taking your journey. Thank you for writing this book. It's a very poignant book that is so needed right now. And just for everyone who's listening here today, whatever aspect you've got from the show, just know the universe has got you. When you let go, when you tighten up and you're angry or you're anxious and everything tightens up, your chi, your energy cannot run through you. There is no clarity, there's no downloadability. You're just in a state of clench. Let go, let go. Take the deep breath and allow that energy to come through you. It will reveal what it is you need to see. Trust it. Thanks so much for being here, Nancy. Until next time, folks, remember, the universe is calling. Pay attention, because you will not regret taking that journey. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or self-discovery-media/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.